Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a glorious summer's evening. Here's the stubble field, and here is the new ZX6.
Yes. Yes. I think I like it.
Sherlock's been very kind to loan me this bike while the 765 is in getting its valve retainer recall done. So I thought, what better way than to make the most of this lovely weather and this cracking bike and to get a shot on this little bad boy. So here we are. The new ZX6, what we're talking, 120 brake, thereabouts. You can look at all the spec. I'm 6'4", I'm 110 kilos. Something like that. Yeah, you know the spec. You can look it up. Everyone's got the power of the internet on at the fingertips. So, but what we can do is we'll jump on it and we'll go for a little ride. Ignition on. In sport mode. Little exhaust check. First of all, just notice that little nut's loose, and it's also very hot. Ouch, yeah, anyway. It's okay, I thought it's going to fall off. Let's go for a little ride. So I believe this ZX6 has the KRT pack on it. Certainly it's got the aftermarket exhaust anyway. As you can tell, it's not overly throaty. What I have noticed is that the quick shifter doesn't seem to be working on this particular model, which is a bit of a shame. So that's something I'll speak to them about. But anyway, I need to go and throw some fuel in. We'll do a little town ride. So obviously this is quite a bit different to sit on compared to the street. It's a little bit more cramped. But it's very smooth. Just like any other 600, the faster you go, get the weight off your wrists and your arms, the better it is. Seating position wise, yes, it's pretty cramped. The last ZX6R I rode was a 2014 model, so this has changed a fair bit since then, albeit power wise and stuff, is not much has changed other than aesthetics really. But it's, you know, it's okay. It is a bit cramped for my 6'4" frame, but I'll be honest, it is bearable. You can put up with it. It's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Obviously my arms are fully straight and you're fairly well over the front end. It is great for doing heavy braking coming up to corner. You've got all that weight over the front end. It really helps with burying the tyre at the tarmac. You can feel that when you're braking quite hard. But yeah, other than that, my legs are bent with my feet up behind my backside, so it's a relatively extreme position. But again, like I say, it's actually not as bad as I remember the previous models from being. The seat itself is firm but not uncomfortable. The fueling so far has been pretty good. Good visibility at the clocks. Mirrors are good and nice and clear. You can see what's behind you. As you can see, it's already in sport mode. Well, I'm not going to bother with rain. There is a rider mode as well, but I'm not going to bother with that. bit pointless, to be honest. Right, we'll throw some fuel in and we'll rendezvous in a minute. Okay, that's £14 to fill up. Had about 2 blobs left. So, let's go. So the gearbox itself is actually quite light. Clutch is nice and light. Bike's quite light. I think it was 100 and... It's actually slightly heavier than the 765RS is, believe it or not, but that makes sense given the fact that it's got fairings and bits and pieces on it. What I'm actually quite impressed with about this bike though is actually the tractability of the engine. Certainly since I rode the last one back in 2014, it basically had, I would say, relatively little mid-range and all top end, but this yeah, what they've done with it, fettled it and give it a bit more mid-range, it's certainly much more usable than it was. I mean, six gear just to roll on. There's plenty of roll-on power there. It's gone in the days of peaky revvy 600s. Although obviously this does like to be thrashed, and you know, from like 8,000-9,000 revs and up is where it really comes alive. But I'm really surprised. I was really actually quite surprised when I jumped on it. It's quite a flexible little engine. It doesn't really vibrate either. It's quite a smooth power delivery. I would say, if anything, it's probably lost a bit of its raw edge compared to the 765RS, which, you know, obviously I can only compare it to that directly. Also being a middleweight, this actually feels a bit not sanitized, but this isn't as raw as the 765 is. 765 feels quite angry. The 765's got that bit more raw attitude about it, whereas this, the way it delivers its power is really quite smooth, and that really goes throughout the whole bike for a 600. I'm quite surprised. It's not, yes, obviously it makes good power at the top end, which is where most of it is, but it has got a mid-range, and it will do roll-on power, roll-on acceleration. I think that's the thing that's really impressed me the most. It's just how, what's the word? Polished. How polished and tweaked it is. It doesn't really vibrate much at all. It's very smooth throughout the whole rev range. Roll-on power is really good. And the whole bike is just smooth. It's almost like ZX6s of old. It's where they were quite harsh and raw. It's lost a little bit of that edge, I think. Not for the worse. It's still a cracking little bike to ride. But when you compare it to the 765RS, that feels quite angry by comparison. It's quite weird. I never thought I'd say that, especially from a Ninja. Because that's normally what they've been renowned for, is their hard edge. I mean, you go back to the ZX10, 2004 ZX10, for example. That thing was an animal. It's got that real raw feeling about it. It's a bit like the some of the GSXRs as well. You know, even my GSXR 1000R when I had that had that raw edge. Whereas this is quite tame. It has been tamed. This is no longer what I would say a green meanie. Not so green, not so mean greeny. That's what it is. But top gear roll on is quite impressive for a 600. I mean, I know, yeah, okay, it's not just a 600, is it? It's a 636. But if you compare it directly to the 765, you know, isn't that much CC between them. There isn't that much CC between them really, and obviously the 765's got one less cylinder. But power-wise, you know, this is giving away what 10 brake to the ZX, the 765, which is quite a lot. I think, to be honest, you do notice it. Mid-range pickup is definitely not lacking on this, but it's certainly noticeably deficient compared to the 765 is. But it's very keen. It is keen to pick up, and it will pick up with, you know, it spins up quite quickly. I'm actually quite enjoying riding it, I'll be honest. But I'd be interested to see what it's like compared to the new CBR 600, which is obviously been honed and retuned as well. I mean, this is screaming for a full exhaust system and a remap without a shadow of a doubt. That's what it really needs to unleash the beast within. But the brakes are good. It's got these four pot calipers on it. Top gear roll on. Easy squip past overtake there. Yeah, I mean the brakes are as good as you need. One finger braking, adjustable brake lever, obviously, adjustable clutch lever as well. But the pickup on top gear, it's really quite surprising. And although it's quite cramped, once you get used to the riding position, it's actually alright. Could you do distance on it? Yeah, I think I probably could, to be honest. It's not that uncomfortable. I don't get a lot of weight across the back of my shoulders, which is where I normally find on a sports bike where I get it. across the top of your shoulder blades is normally where I find that sports bikes make my neck ache. I don't know whether it's just because this is a bit lighter, or because you're not feeling like you need to ride it, or you can ride it a bit harder so you can move around a bit more. It's just a shame the quick shifter's not working. I had a look in the settings, I couldn't see how to turn it on, but that's me lifting up the gear lever and nothing. But the way it makes its power is very, very smooth. Just spins effortlessly through the rev range. I like it. It's a nice little bike, I'll be honest. And of course, if you're gonna have a Kawasaki, it's got to be green, isn't it? It's got to be green if you're gonna have one. Practicality-wise, obviously this has got the seat hump on it. You should be able to strap some sort of bag to it. It's not really built for touring, but it would certainly do it, of course. I think through town here is where you do notice the comfort. You know, you feel like you want to be going a bit quicker just to lift that pressure up off of your shoulders, arms, wrists. But because the suspension's quite pliant over the road, it does follow the bumps really quite well. It's not as harsh as the 765 is by comparison. Certainly the last ZX6R rode was quite firm as well. Obviously this has now got big piston forks, so it is different suspension compared to the last bike. And we've now done this bike's done 305 miles. And it's saying it's got a range of 132. I didn't quite brim it, so I would say it's probably good for 150 mile tank range, I suspect. Kemney Golf Club. Nice course. If you're up this neck of the woods and you ever think if you are one to be smashing the ball about. So here we go, fifth gear, national limit, throttle open. That's only quarter throttle. Easy. Absolutely effortless. This has got the new Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa 4s, I think it is. Something like that. But they certainly feel good. It's about 18 degrees this evening. that's where you really notice the difference with this sort of bike, is just going to a turn there, you can really feel, you can really lay on the front tyre and really feel the tyre digging in. Whereas with a 765 you don't really get that. Obviously because there's less weight over the front end. I mean, at the end of the day, this is, you know, this is a track bike, isn't it, really? Let's be honest. Oh, one pigeon! Oh, nearly got him. I can see that on track it'd be really good fun though. It certainly the 765 would get a run for its money without a shadow of a doubt, but I think what you're going to notice with this bike is once it's got the full system on it, once it's been tuned, what you're going to gain in the mid-range performance of the 765, this is going to make up for it in obviously top speed, aerodynamics, which is where I found the 765 just lacks a little bit. Once you get up to about 140 odds on track, you do start noticing the difference with the aerodynamics. But I mean, I'm 6'4", and it's quite, yeah, you can tuck in behind it, but I think I do look quite big on it. It's not exactly a massive bike by any means, physically. But I'll show you a little, I'll do another little walk around video of me on it later on, and you'll see what I mean. But as it's a nice evening, I thought I'd come out for a little run, so I'm going to do that tomorrow. And I'll add it into this footage. So, here we go. The morning after the night before. To be honest, this little bike's kind of got under my skin a little bit, I'll be honest. I wasn't really too sure what to expect, other than obviously it'd be a buzzy, uncomfortable, fairly slow 600, and partly I couldn't be more wrong. Yes, it is quite cramped, not quite so cramped that you'd be feeling like you're trying to double yourself up into a suitcase. Getting on here, yeah, the pegs are tight, but it's not overly so. I tend to find I'm riding with my feet up on the pegs a fair bit, like a proper sports bike. There is space on the seat to move backwards and forwards. You can put your feet forward on the pegs, so there is room to move around. But yeah, it's not, you know, it's not built for comfort. It's a sports bike at the end of the day. But, you know, I can't help but find myself thinking about it quite a lot, which is good, which means that, you know, you like it. So yeah, I've really enjoyed riding this little bike, I'll be honest. Like I said in the onboard footage, it has way more mid-range than I really expected it to have. I know it's a 636. I know it broke the mold with regards to obviously being a 600, and then it went to a 636cc. So it's certainly, you know, it's certainly benefited from that. As it stands here, is what is it, 127 horsepower, 129 PS. You know, so it's basically the same power as a 765 RS, just made in a slightly different way. It doesn't have the mid-range punch. It doesn't have the mid-range attitude and rawness that the 765's got, or probably an MT-09 for that matter, although I've not ridden one of those for a few years. But it's a really good little bike. I've really enjoyed having it for the short duration, and it's been really good. The quick shifter isn't working on this particular model. I don't know why. I don't know whether it needs to be programmed to work or whether it doesn't know it's to work. But anyway, I'll pick that up at the dealership. But the gearbox itself is lovely. It's got a real smooth throw at the gearbox. Clutch shifting is lovely. It goes through the gears really nice. Brakes are great. Responds really well. It's good modulation and power through the brake lever. You know, the harder you squeeze it, the quicker you stop. It's as simple as that. On track, obviously current standard settings, I would say they're a bit soft, but you know, you've got the ability to twiddle your knobs as you want. So, but yeah, so far I've been really quite impressed. Really quite impressed. I think practicality wise, going around the bike, I'll take you with me. Obviously, it's been redesigned. We've got this new 3D design fairing, which is great. but trying to clean it is a bit of a chore. There's lots of bits and pieces on it that you need to try and get your rag into and clean, but it's not the end of the world. Just an observation when I threw a rag over it yesterday, albeit I have to do it again now. It's covered in bugs from last night. Integrated indicators on the side here, which is quite neat. I'm not too sure when that came in exactly. I know it obviously runs over from the Versys 1000 because that's got that. But yeah, you know, the mirrors work well. It's happy doing 60, 65, 70, but being a sports bike, it does want you to go quicker. And that's probably the downside about this bike, is that with riding a naked sports bike, like an MT-09 or a 765 or, you know, whatever it may be, Hornet 750 perhaps, whatever, you do find that it's egging you in to riding it exactly like a sports bike. And I think that's its downfall on the road. It's not a road bike really. It's a track bike with lights. That's where you're gonna get the most out of this bike, is on track, and it would be absolutely awesome. So having done some research on YouTube overnight and various bits and pieces, as you do, looks like these are about 127 brake with a full system and a tune, which is not bad. So it basically puts it on par with the 765 RS, that is. Oh great, and now it's started to rain, marvellous. So yeah, but it's not about power, it's about handling, it's about fun, it's about enjoyment and involvement, and certainly this bike gives it in spades. And yeah, I've really quite grown fond of the little thing. It's been great, but for me, it's a little bit too cramped, which is where your naked sports bikes come in. As I said earlier, brakes are really good. They've obviously been changed for this year. There's no pedal discs this year, just 310mm discs on your 4-pot Nissan calipers, and the brakes are fine. Absolutely no issues whatsoever. It is, of course, only a cable operated throttle, so you don't have a bi-directional quick shifter. It is quick shifter goes up the way only, so you need to do the good old fashioned rev matching on the way back down, but it's fine. Will it make you ultimately slower on track? Well, probably, but really, is it going to be noticeable? Probably not. Not for us mere mortals. But yeah, overall, it's a nice little bike. It's a nice little bike. Traction control and power mode selection. You have 3 modes, all of which are associated with the mode that you're in. So traction control is set. You can't adjust the traction control. It's just set based on sport or rain or rider. And the power levels, you either get full power or you get reduced power. But for me, full power all the time. Doesn't bite your head off. It's not a ZX10, and there's no reason why you can't ride around in full mode all the time and just respect the throttle. But yeah, I like it. It's a nice little bike. Anyway, back to me in the helmet. As far as the wind protection is concerned, it's actually pretty good. I don't feel like I've got too much wind blast on me. The wind is hitting the top of my helmet, and to be honest, any speed on this at the minute with the standard screen is actually okay. I feel quite well protected from the wind. It's just a lot of it's in your helmet, but not adversely so that it's going to start giving you neck ache. I don't think. It's not exactly windy today, so it's hard to tell, but certainly for this experience, it feels alright. It's just a nice, polished 600 Super Sport. That's what it is. A good, well-rounded bit of kit. It's evolved well over the years. What can I say? It's not what the market has wanted, an all singing, all dancing, breathing, snarling 600 monster. But does it need to be? I don't know if it does. You could make it that. I think you could make it into that if you wanted to. Give it its full system, give it a tune. But it's not slow. It is not slow. And I'll be honest, since getting the 765, I do hate to keep comparing it, but since getting that, it's made me realise that, you know, it's so much more rewarding and more fun riding a small bike fast than riding a big bike slow. It's just more involving. It's more, you know, I think as a package it's a bit more cohesive. I don't know if that's even the right terminology, but you just feel like you're getting more, you know, you're getting more out of the bike more of the time, whether that's a 765 or it's a CBR 600. You know, maybe I'm talking with rose-tinted glasses since I've had it for nearly 2 years now. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, not 2 years, it's a year I've had the 765. I mean, this thing wails, man. It's not slow. It is not slow. I think I could probably ride the 765 quicker. This feels to me like you need to work a bit more, get the best from it. Whereas 765, being that sit up and beg riding position, it's definitely an physically easier bike to ride. This you have to manhandle it around a little bit more, whereas obviously you've got the big upright flat bars you can muscle the 765 about with. By comparison, I shouldn't use the 765 by itself as a compared to a naked sports bike. There you go. Compared to a naked sports bike, this needs, you know, you need to ride this a bit different. Obviously you need to ride this differently. You need to set it up for the corners. You know, you can't just sling it on its ear last minute like you can with a naked sports. It will do it. Then we can change line last minute. Change line there. I think what you find is that the naked sports allow you that luxury to be a bit lazy. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm loving this for the fairing. I really do miss having a fairing. But when you jump back on a naked sport, it makes you realise that you don't only need the fairing when you're doing 80, 90 mile an hour plus. And you know, most of the time it's not too much of an issue. The flexibility that a naked sports gives you day to day, as everybody knows, is worth the sacrifice. But it is nice to have a fairing. It's nice to have the luxury of, you know, a bit of wind protection, a bit of weather protection. Would I buy one? Yeah, I probably would. Would I change from a naked sports bike to this? Probably not at the minute, unless I wanted to come back this way again. But I spent too much money on my RS to change it to another sports bike at the minute. And you could argue that if I was going to do that, then I should have kept the GSX-R 1000 to start with. But anyway, I'm waffling. I'm saying it's 8 o'clock, but I don't know that's right, is it? Oh, no, it's 9:05. 9:05 in the evening. What is this devilry? And it's still 20 degrees or so. I'm not seeing the external temperature gauge on the bike. It has got a fuel gauge, so that's a bonus. It's got obviously usual odometer. It's got trip A, it's got trip B, and the other way you've got your average speed, total time you've been riding, battery voltage, MPG, currently doing 50 miles to the gallon, which is pretty good really considering the way it's been ridden. You've got your clock, obviously gear indicator, and then obviously you've got sport, rider, a rain mode. I'm not seeing anything about the quick shifter on adjustments on kill times or anything like that. I don't think it's got that. That's the ZX6. Sports bikes are dead. Long live the sports bike. Lovely little bike, so if you're interested, get yourself along for a test ride and see what you think of it yourself. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, ride safe, and we'll see you soon. The small but mighty ZX6. What a brilliant piece of kit. Absolutely awesome.